on the wall.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Gurudev, all glories to assembled Vaishnava devotees, and all glories to His Grace Yadubara Prabhu. Today of all days, we are extremely fortunate to have the divine association of our dearest uncle, His Grace Yadubara Prabhu. Most of us have been enjoying his services in so many ways, so many times, but we haven't had an encounter, personal encounter with him. And today, by the arrangements of the higher forces, he's here with us today. So Yadubara Prabhu needs no introduction, except you just entered into ISKCON or you came from a different planet. But he is the main person behind all the wonderful, amazing Srila Prabhupada memories, videos we all have come to enjoy and love so much. So Prabhuji is going to be presenting to us wonderful slideshows of Srila Prabhupada with lots of important spiritual growth. So we encourage devotees who are here now and those who will be joining later, and whoever may be joining us via YouTube, Facebook, please pay attention, open your eyes, try to drop any sort of distraction, because we're going to be enjoying ourselves in a transcendental train that is taking us back to Godhead. So Prabhuji, I've done a lot of talking. I'm going to shift to you, and then you take it over from here, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, everyone. So happy to be here. Actually, I'm in Mumbai in the Chowpatty Temple. And I'd like to add a very nice introduction, Prabhu. But the other better half, my wife Vishaka Devi, was responsible also for so many films and photographs. She's my better half and my lifelong partner, and a very expert at everything, actually.
Yes.
So I want to let you know that she's a big part of it. So tonight we have a slideshow actually, about our adventures with Prabhupada, meeting him and the films he saw, the films he asked for, the films he gave instructions about, and a few more things. So I'm going to share the screen. Hold on just a moment. This is a PowerPoint.
Okay.
I hope technically we can get everything right here. Okay, hold on. By the way, how long do we have here for the
Probably as long as you want to take us on this journey, we're here for you.
Okay, just ask one question. Do you see, is the full screen covering this, or just part of the screen, our journey to Krishna consciousness?
It's full screen.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. So hold on.
I think it's not full screen.
If you intend to switch to
Now it's in full screen.
Full screen.
Okay. All right. So we begin our journey at the Brooklyn Temple in New York. And this is what I walked into as a freelance photographer. My first assignment was to cover the Hare Krishna movement in New York, the Brooklyn Temple. The editor of Asia magazine, who was an Indian, asked for this story. I was in photography school. My wife was also, Vishaka Devi was there. We both came. I took the photographs and she wrote the article. I was immediately attracted to everything about Krishna consciousness. She had the opposite reaction. She was an atheist. So that was an interesting combination. So we did that article. It was published. Then I had the opportunity to do my master's thesis in photography, and I chose to go to India because that sparked my interest, that initial article. And meet Prabhupada, try to join his Harinam party. This is that article, the Asia magazine article. And actually it was viewed by, let's see, largest circulation in Asia, 630,000 copies. Wow. So it went all over in 9 countries in Southeast Asia. So I joined Prabhupada's World Sankirtan Party. I joined it in Surat. These are a few slides of the pictures of devotees initially coming to Mumbai, where they started their journey. This is the first large group of devotees Prabhupada brought back to India. And it took India by storm, because we can understand from the history that hundreds of years of foreign occupation of India, trying to suppress their culture, and all of a sudden foreign Vaishnavas, dressed in dhoti and kurta and shaved head, come. And the Indians were just thrilled, something very curious. It was a wonderful preaching strategy by Prabhupada. And these actually are taken from little movie frames. There's 24 little pictures in a second of a movie, you may know. So what we did was went back to these original films and took out little still frames. This is a program in Mumbai. So in Prabhupada's travel all over India, putting on these huge Pongal programs, visiting different towns and cities, the devotees went by train, and Prabhupada sometimes joined them on train, sometimes by car. But anyway, every station they stopped at, they would jump off the train and have Harinam Sankirtan. And immediately hundreds of people would gather around. This is another great strategy. This went on for months all over India. So very quickly, the whole of India saw the devotees. It was the talk of India. And this is Surat. You may have seen movies of this amazing time in Surat. The mayor of Surat said that even if Indira Gandhi, the prime minister, had come, she would not have received the welcome that Prabhupada got. That's me. How many years ago? 50, 45 years ago. Anyway, I just walked in on the party, uninvited. And it was interesting because I showed Prabhupada that article that I did. He liked it. And I asked him if I could travel for 2 months with the party. And he asked me, are you going to become a devotee? And I said, no, because I couldn't imagine shaving my head and wearing robes. So then Prabhupada said, then you cannot stay. And that was a big shock. I just arrived at night in Surat. So they put me up overnight. I got up in the morning. Nobody said anything. Prabhupada didn't say anything. I stayed for 2 months. So Prabhupada can understand. He could read our hearts and minds, basically. He knew I had a little interest. He fanned that spark. The next evening was a huge program. You can see way down the street. They closed off the street. Everyone in town came. I don't know, 100,000 people? I don't know how many. And every day we would have Harinam Sankirtan through the streets. And the newspaper would print the routes in the city where the devotees were going that day. And they would decorate that part of the city. And to see how eager people are there to receive the Harinam party. This is Bhanu Swami, Das Brahmachari back then. We couldn't go more than a few yards without being stopped and sandalwood paste and garlands and drinks and arti to the Harinam party. Just see all the people. This is Malati Devi. Prabhupada would take his walk by the river every morning. In the background, you can see Durlabh Prabhu leading the Boy Scouts in Harinam. You can see that little camera on his wrist. That's a movie camera. He took a lot of the early movies. At this time, I was just taking still photographs. Black and white still photographs, actually. This is a little town outside of Surat. Prabhupada was gesturing throughout the whole lecture, really, dramatic gesturing. Wonderful lecture. That's Nanda Kumar Prabhu on the Mridanga, Prabhupada's secretary, servant, actually. This is in that little town. This is Mangalarti in Prabhupada's room. 25 devotees in a small room, very intense. Just soaked with devotion. That's Yamuna Devi. Prabhupada often asked her to lead the kirtan. And Prabhupada was tireless. He would have, 4 or 5 engagements per day. Like a king, very regal. This, not the person who's got praying pranams to Prabhupada, but the person on his right, just to the right of him, he was our host, Mr. Jeriwala. And he had a 3-story building. He was a banker. He put up all the devotees, 25 devotees, Prabhupada and myself. And at the end, when we were saying goodbye, he begged us for to forgive him for all the offenses he committed. He didn't commit any offense. We committed offenses. And then he started to cry. And Prabhupada said, he looked at us, he said, "This is a Vaishnava." Amazing gentleman. And then Prabhupada took us to the Kumbh Mela, February 1971, very cold in Allahabad. And Prabhupada had us do 3 things: the Harinam party every morning and evening, deity worship, and prasadam distribution. There were hardly any books at that time. This is a lineup of quite famous devotees. Madhavisa Prabhu on the kol or mridanga, whatever it is. Small Krishna Goswami to his left. Behind him is Madhuri Devi, his wife at the time. Then just to the right of Prabhupada, the Chitananda Swami. And Giridhar Swami in the blanket. Yamuna Devi and Hansaduta, Prabhu. So every day this man, this devotee would, search out Prabhupada. When he found him, he would pay obeisances and start jumping up and down. He was so thrilled to have Prabhupada's association. Prabhupada loved him. On the upper left, you can see Saraswati, little baby Saraswati. She was about 3 years old at the time. But she was a big hit. Whenever she'd have her arms raised during kirtan, and she'd dance on the stage. And everybody loved her. And Prabhupada stayed with us. This was Allahabad. Prabhupada lived here for many years as a businessman. He could have stayed in a hotel, could have stayed at the Gaudiya Math where he did a lot of service, but he stayed with us in a tent. And he always wanted to stay with his disciples. And one day he took us to the Gaudiya Math, where he's Sri Rupa Gaudiya Math, where he served. These are the deities there. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Radha Krishna. And then we went to Benares. This is a parade through the streets, and I believe it was the day that Rupa Goswami met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and was instructed for so many days. It's Jayapataka Swami in the lower left. Prabhupada was drawn through the streets in a chariot drawn by white horses, really a grand procession. actually, wherever Prabhupada went, he was received royally with open arms. And sometimes we think that Prabhupada wasn't so successful in his preaching before he came to America, but actually he was very successful in preaching to the upper class. He didn't make disciples from the upper class, but he cultivated them, so much so that wherever he went, they would receive us, very nicely. Everything provided. And so Prabhupada paved the way with the leaders. This is quite an amazing shot. You'll never get this close, I don't think, in any pictures. But this is again from a little movie frame, little tiny 24 frames a second from a movie. And then this is the famous Cross Maidan Festival in Mumbai. Thousands of people would come every day. In the evening, 30,000 people. Prabhupada would speak. There'd be morning and evening programs. There'd be photographic exhibits and different dioramas. And this is the Panla where Prabhupada called that Western sadhu way out of the back of the audience. Does anyone know who that was? You know that story?
Radhanath Maharaj.
Yeah, Radhanath Swami, yeah. You see, I mean, how did he know? We know that Krishna let him know. So Kirtan, discourse, and then His Holiness Lokanath Swami was also at that, met Prabhupada for the first time there. Another devotee from Canada, Dadi Harta Prabhu, he also was there. He came from that. Dadi Harta Prabhu remembers that when he heard Prabhupada lecture, he couldn't understand him, but one thing came through, and that was surrender. He got that much. And he did eventually. This is the marriage ceremony performed the last night on stage in front of 20,000 people or more. And this is Vegavan Prabhu and his wife. Vegavan Prabhu is from Sweden and his wife from Australia. And Prabhupada spoke during that marriage, and he told the crowd that this is the real United Nations. And when he said that, everybody cheered. They just loved it. And this is Subal Swami doing the fire sacrifice for the wedding. And the upper left corner of the picture, there's that sadhu that came out of the Himalayas to get his visa and came to the program, Radhanath Swami. You see him? With the long hair?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to see.
Yeah,
Looking to the side. Looking to the side.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is the only photograph we had. Is he on the right of the screen?
It's on the left.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like a Paramhamsa Yogananda.
I know. I know. I think this is the only picture that we have of him at that program. So anyway, I left my girlfriend back home, Jean Papert. She's a very talented photographer. She produced this book, Photometrography, Art and Techniques, and it was praised by all kinds of big photographers. She was only a sophomore in college, 2 years in college. So she came to visit me. I think part of her reason for visiting was to get me back home. But that didn't work. Prabhupada won her heart. So she came during that festival, the Cross Maidan Festival, met Prabhupada. And so my photography was finished for my thesis, and we wanted to do another story in India. And her idea was to go to a quaint Indian village untouched by Western technology. We didn't know where to go, so we asked Prabhupada, where should we go? And Prabhupada said, wherever you go, you'll get your camera stolen and they will cheat you. Then he said, best to go to Vrindavan. So that's where Vishaka Devi became a devotee, in the Dham. And we know that's one of the 5 most important aspects of devotional service, living in the Holy Dham. So before we went there, we wandered around Mumbai taking our art photographs. This fellow was outside the Cross Maidan Pandal. Not many people even took notice. And then we went to Nepal. This is Vishaka Devi taking pictures. The beautiful time of year is summer in Nepal. We hiked up 10,000 feet to a little cabin in the woods, in a beautiful valley. There we are. And I brought one book with me, and that was Bhagavad Gita, the Macmillan edition, the first Bhagavad Gita. And Jean read that book while we were up here for about 5 days. And it was the first time she got some idea that she was not the body, but she was an eternal spirit soul. So we came back down to Vrindavan and took a lot of pictures. Vishaka was especially interested in sitting in the temples and photographing the widows, chanting all day, Hare Krishna. So she was very moved by their devotion, their sincerity. And then Prabhupada took us to this is Calcutta. This is a little mixed up here. Hold on. Yeah. After Vrindavan, we went to Calcutta and stayed a couple of months there. And then Prabhupada was coming. We actually produced a Vyasa Puja book for Prabhupada at that time. This is August 1971. I'm sorry, August 1971.
Is that Dinanath?
It is, Dinanath Prabhu. Yeah.
Okay.
Tamal Krishna Goswami to the right. Goshalia next to him in the back there. Achyutananda Swami on the right. In back of Tamal, you can see Pancha Durvita. I'm not sure of he's a Swami now, I'm not sure of his name. And Yamuna Devi.
Swami. Janardhan. Janardhan
right.
Swami.
That's right, yeah. That's Yamuna on the harmonium. And at that time, I took Diksha when Prabhupada came.
Wow.
Vishaka wasn't ready. And then Prabhupada took us back to Vrindavan. Hold on. Before we went to Vrindavan, there was the Delhi Pandal. That was another huge Pandal program. And that was a wonderful program. So then after that, Prabhupada took us to Vrindavan. And there we were married and she got Diksha. Unfortunately, there's only one picture of our wedding. I think of my daughter Hari Priya. She was recently married. Thousands of pictures and video. And we wouldn't have had this picture unless Malachi came up to Vishaka during the ceremony and said, "Where's your camera?" So Malachi took this picture, this one picture we have. Unfortunately, Prabhupada's sitting on the Vyasasan on the left. He's not in the picture, but he was there. And then we actually stayed in India for 2.5 years. And the professors were wondering what happened to me. We went to Prabhupada to different places, different cities. He was received wonderfully. This is the Radha Damodar temple. There's baby Saraswati, Shamsundar behind her. Prabhupada gave us a wonderful tour of Vrindavan. This is the place where Mother Yasoda saw the universe in Krishna's mouth. When Prabhupada was describing it, his eyes got very big. And then we all went in the Yamuna River for a swim, and we encouraged Prabhupada to come in. He didn't want to come in initially, but eventually he joined us. Srila Prabhupada ki. That's Dr. Kapoor. Prabhupada's godbrother, very wonderful devotee. He wrote quite a few books, one on Lord Chaitanya. Actually, all the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. That's Chiradakshai Vishnu in back of him, the Indian body. He shot with her camera. And Prabhupada taking a palanquin up these very steep steps of Varshana. And here we are in Jaipur. I was fortunate to be able to carry Prabhupada's cane. And again, a wonderful reception drawn by bullock carts through the streets of Jaipur. And Prabhupada, we were all staying, actually we didn't stay, Prabhupada stayed in the palace. Gayatri Devi was the queen of Jaipur at that time. She and Prabhupada had lengthy talks. And a very nice lady, very wonderful, received us very, very nicely. And here we are in Juhu. We all know the great fight that Prabhupada put up to get that property. Vishaka Devi and I spent 2.5 years there. That was our place of service before we came back to the States to make our first film, the Hare Krishna People. Actually, Karandar Prabhu, the head of the BBT at the time, thought he wanted to film on ISKCON. We had no films at that time. So he told Prabhupada, he suggested Prabhupada liked the idea. And he was actually the executive producer on the film. He gave us $16,000 from his book fund, which is very unusual at the time because money was then used mostly for temples and printing books. So we can understand that Prabhupada knew the value of media. And people today, of course, are mad after media, movies. This is the camera I use, very bulky. I could get better results on an iPhone 14. And the film was very expensive. For 10 minutes, it cost about $100 to purchase the film, to develop the film, and to make a work print so you could work from that and not scratch the original to make film. This is the tape recorder that Vishaka Devi used. It was a separate soundtrack. And this is the editing system we used, hand wound. So you could never wind it through at the right speed at 24 frames a second. So it's a lot of guesswork editing on this machine. So part of the narration, or actually the script, Howard Wheeler, that's Hayagriva Prabhu, he helped a lot with the script. He's a great writer, as you probably know. And this is the BBT warehouse, 1973. And this is only 6 or 7 years after Prabhupada started. And, you know, books are going on all over the world. Just an amazing feat. We had our own forklift, our own trucks. We try to cover all aspects of Prabhupada's activities and the movement. Again, Prabhupada being greeted by the chief minister of UP. Prabhupada knew these leaders. He respected him highly. This is one scene in the film. The Govinda prayers are being is the background music, and these cows are shot in slow motion coming down the hill. When Prabhupada saw this, he said, those cows are floating. Can you fix it? And we said, Prabhupada, it's a special effect called slow motion. And then Prabhupada said, then it is all right. The final scene, Prabhupada dancing at the Bhaktivedanta Manor. But by the way, Vishaka Devi is the president of the Bhaktivedanta Manor. I don't know if you know that, from atheist to president. We recently got an invitation for a Diwali program, which is coming up. And the address of the party was number 10 Downing Street. You know what 10 Downing Street is? It's the home of the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Yeah. Prabhu, who is that? Sorry. What is your name, Prabhu?
So yes, it's the home of the Prime Minister of the Britain. It's Kushada.
Yeah. Huh?
Kusha.
No, I'm asking. Somebody just spoke. Who's that, Prabhu?
No, it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. This editing system was a gift from my father. He was very sympathetic. He actually bought us another camera, brand new camera. And Prabhupada actually asked for this film to be made. He wanted something to show his godbrothers in the 1975 Gorpanian Festival, that he was doing the work of his spiritual master in printing and distributing books all over the world. So we followed one verse of the Bhagavatam. Prabhupada spoke the verse all the way through the printing process until we see the final book. Vida Prabhu typing up the verse. And this is the verse, a very famous verse. This Bhagavad Purana is as brilliant as the sun. And this is the Los Angeles Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, where everything was produced, all the books were produced, step by step. And this Mataji is one of the fastest typists I've ever seen. Everything was put on a cassette, then handed to Archita Prabhu. Archita Prabhu is still with the BBT 50 years later. And he put it in that machine, which would print out all the pages. And then it was photographed, paintings also. We followed one painting all the way through the initial pencil sketch to the final completed painting. This is a photographic print for the cover, which is resized to fit the cover. This is all very tedious. Everything can be done very quickly on a computer, just like filmmaking, also very quick and fast. And then the final book is printed and shipped all over the world. And the film ends, toward the end, we show the books, and then many reviews by famous professors in famous universities, Princeton University, Yale, Harvard. And the final scene is Gopavinda Prabhu, famous book distributor, distributing the same book, the same volume, on the streets of Los Angeles. And we had him wired with a microphone so we can hear him preaching to the businessman. He's also a devotee, dressed in a business suit. So we took that film to Prabhupada at the Mayapur Festival, and we had something that just came out called a Fairchild projector. I think you had them in Africa also for preaching. It's a little briefcase, looks like a businessman's briefcase, but it folds up open, and you can immediately show the film. We sat in Prabhupada's room, and Prabhupada received guests, and then for every guest, he turned to me and said, "Do you have that film?" So I opened up the briefcase and set it up and played it. They were just amazed by the technology, and they appreciated the work that Prabhupada was doing all over the world, distributing books, printing and distributing books. So the next film that Prabhupada saw, actually Prabhupada saw 4 of our films. The next is called The Spiritual Frontier. It's a documentary on New Vrindavan. Mangalananda Prabhu did the music. You may know him. He's a very, very talented singer, composer, musician. Wonderful devotee, still singing. And Prabhupada really liked his music. He said it could be played in the temple. But here's kind of a special effect shot. We put the camera down and stepped aside, and then the horse team ran over it. And we got another shot from the back, same thing. That's Advaita Prabhu driving the team. It was a beautiful time of year, lots of, vegetables being grown, crops. And Prabhupada was especially proud of the New Vrindavan milk production. Some of those cows have produced 10 gallons a day. Here in India, we never see that. We had the camera covered with a piece of glass. And we showed the birth of a calf. When Prabhupada saw these puris cooking, he rose up out of the asana. He said, "I want one." And this was originally meant to be Govindaji temple, but it was decided after it was started to turn it into Prabhupada's palace. So, which is an amazing structure. So many tourists every year come to see Prabhupada in his palace. All the work done by devotees. Incredible work of art. Radha Vrindavan Chandra, beautiful deity. And we had the premiere of this film in Los Angeles. And Prabhupada really liked it. And Kirtananda Swami came out with ice cream. He brought ice cream and a chest of dry ice. And we had a party in Prabhupada's room after the premiere. This is the final shot of the film. I wish I had a drone, but I was in a helicopter. Sorry. And the final film that Prabhupada saw was called Spark of Life. By the way, all these films are on our YouTube channel called Hare Krishna Film Classics. Hare Krishna Film Classics. This was a request by the Bhaktivedanta Institute, the science preaching branch of ISKCON, to make a film to defeat the arguments of the materialists that life comes from matter. Prabhupada preached so much on this point. So we decided to base it on the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita because the arguments of the scientists change. They're always changing. So we figured if we base it on the basis of their arguments, it would change eventually. So we based it on the Bhagavad Gita. And it's a dramatic presentation, 2 students on a college campus. One is studying Bhagavad Gita in a religion course, and the other is a biology student. And here's the professor. This is Damodar Prabhu. These are all devotee actors. And he's teaching the philosophy that this idea that life comes from matter. Primordial soup and gases and hot molten lava and bogus. And finally, one cell, a living cell, is produced by accident, by chance. Anyway, the biology student is thinking about all these things. He's thinking about the preaching of his friend who's studying Bhagavad Gita and also listening to his biology professor. And then in one scene, we show the different parts of the body, we break them down. The bones, the muscles, the blood circulatory system, searching for the soul. And this is a montage showing the progression of birth to death. We show it just by the hands. And finally, death. Another scene in the film is a person on an operating table in a hospital. This is actually our apartment. And these are all devotees. There was one nurse who directed this scene. And she actually worked in a hospital in the operating room. And they were trying to bring a dead body back to life. The person passed away and nothing they could do to bring the body alive again. The soul is left. And then a graveyard scene, the mourning relatives. And the priest putting in the dirt in the grave. So the biology student is finally convinced that life cannot come from matter, it comes from life. Life comes from life. And it's a happy ending. To the Prabhupada Gi. Prabhupada actually asked us, what is the result of showing this film? And we showed it at a Sunday feast before we showed it to Prabhupada. We actually showed it to him in Juhu. And Prabhupada said, what is the result? What? So I said to Prabhupada, a guest came up to me afterwards and said, thank you very much. Now I can understand I'm not the body. So Prabhupada said, then it is success. So actually the film was shown all over India. It was a big success in India. The scientific, the preachers at that time were not so enthusiastic, but they eventually liked it quite a bit because they saw the effect it had. So that's the end of our show. Just a word about our current project. We're restoring all the films. You mentioned it, Sadhe Prabhu, to pristine quality, each and every frame. There's 47 hours of film. And at 24 frames a second, that's 6,080,000 little pictures. So we can take, as you saw in the presentation, we took a lot of pictures from the little movie frames. Well, this will be an invaluable contribution for books, for publications. We can take so many new pictures, so-called new. So it's a very important project. And we're doing quite well. We've collected 40% of the budget. And we have a lot of support from the leaders. Okay. Any questions?
Hare Krishna. Thank you so very much, Prabhuji, for this amazing, wonderful project. This beautiful presentation you've shared with us. Dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comment that you would like to ask or share, please, you may unmute and go ahead and speak.
Sadhu Pro, may I ask a question?
Please go ahead, yes.
Yadubara Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances.
Please accept mine, Mr. Prabhu. Who is it? What's your name?
You probably know me. You remember me as Kevin from Vancouver? Remember, yeah. I did the Year Ever Well Wisher with the Swahili soundtrack. I'm now actually in Ghana in West Africa.
Oh, of course. Sure, I remember you.
And we just had our 25th anniversary installation of the deities here. Jai Beta Maharaj was here and some other leading devotees.
Where is it? Sorry.
Ghana, West Africa.
Okay. Wonderful.
Jai Beta Maharaj was here. Vyasaki Prabhu was here.
Oh, fantastic.
So some leading devotees. Anyway, thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. My question is, do you in the future at all have any plan on writing a biography of you, or just relating your pastimes with Prabhupada at any point?
Yeah, actually, I'm doing that now.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'd like to say that my wife has already published hers, and I'm in it.
What's the title of that one?
Yeah, it's called 5 Years, 11 Months.
Oh, yes, yes.
And a Lifetime of Unexpected Love.
Right. I haven't yet read it, but I do know of it. Yeah.
I recommend it highly, not just because she's my wife, but she's an amazing writer.
Don't we know? Yeah, it's got wonderful reviews. I'd like to get a copy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Nice to see you.
Yes, nice to see you. Thank you for your contribution.
Sure.
Ongoing.
Thanks for your saver for the films
Oh,
in Vancouver.
actually, what I would like to do maybe is it was the youth minister Manu who designed the cover for that. Maybe I can send you a DVD if you like for that, just for the records or something. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. We like to keep DVDs because, you know, they'll be valuable in the future.
Hmm.
Might be a long way down the road, but they're, you know, historic stuff that's released during well, in my case, during Prabhupada's time.
Hmm. Okay. Who can I send that to? Or how would I go about sending that?
Write to my email address, yadubara.das,
Okay.
YADUBARA.DAS@gmail.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I think I have that from years ago. Okay. I will do that.
Okay,
Thank you very much. Oh.
thank you.
Thank you, Keshava Prabhu. Anyone else with something to share? Prabhuji, I just have a question. Maybe your answer might help me and maybe others as well. And that is, I mean, I've asked this question to a couple of your god brothers, god sisters, that when you first met Sri Prabhupada, most of you were really, really young.
Very
You were
young.
in your 20s, some in their teens.
I was the oldest in it, one of the oldest in India at age 27.
Just imagine. And
Just imagine the immaturity.
yeah, but what is quite wondersome, I should say, is how did you and your fellow god brothers, god sisters understood the etiquette and the position of Sri Prabhupada, and to serve him with such great care and love, and how quickly you were able to learn to relate with a Jagat Guru? How did that come about?
Well, we were etiquette-wise, we made a lot of blunders, especially, you know, newly arrived from America and so many Indian ways to do things. So we made a lot of blunders, but Prabhupada would always stick up for us. He was very proud of his devotees. I mean, he would chastise us, you know, if something was off. But, and, you know, we didn't, I think most of us didn't realize Prabhupada's greatness. I mean, he was so powerful. Being in his presence was a bit unnerving because he could understand our hearts and minds very deeply. In my case, when I first met him, he said, "You cannot stay." But then and I took that actually to mean that if we don't become devotees, we can't stay in the association of devotees. We all have to become advanced, and then we can actually associate properly. So we young and immature. And some devotees left, some devotees, you know, all kinds of things happened, as we know, over the years. So we were growing up. It takes a while. It's a long journey, at least in my case. I had a terrible upbringing. Wild. It's a California surfer, guitar player, singer.
Well, thank you so much, Prabhuji. My other concern and worry, I know it will not be a problem, but it's still a concern I have. and that is those of us who are not direct disciples of Srila Prabhupada. We have Srila Prabhupada's disciples and maybe Srila Prabhupada's grand disciples as our gurus.
Yeah.
And we have to love them and serve them as much as you, the direct disciples of Srila Prabhupada, loved and served Srila Prabhupada. Yet, we still have to love Srila Prabhupada as much as you, the direct disciples of Srila Prabhupada, loved and continue to love Srila Prabhupada. Now, the question is, loving my spiritual master of today, living with me in this physical mortal world, and maybe, just maybe, not saying or doing things the way Srila Prabhupada said and did. What do I do, or what do we do as second, third generations?
Well, it depends on what you're talking about, what they do. You'd have to get specific on that, but I don't know if you want to do that at this point.
No. I don't want to be too specific. I just want to be kind of general, that especially like by the grace of your service, we can see and hear, and also, hear from Srila Prabhupada and also hear from you, the direct associates of Srila Prabhupada, what Srila Prabhupada did and what Srila Prabhupada said. And if somebody is telling us or doing something quite contrary, and the person is my guru, so I have to honor him. But what he's saying or doing is also different from what Srila Prabhupada said and did.
Mm-hmm.
It has been my worry that if you, the direct disciples, do not help put everything down as Srila Prabhupada did, which, to your credit, you've done more than enough, because the videos, the books, the lectures, everything is there. Yet, because we live in this material world and Maya is so powerful, Maya could use a very prominent individual to distract some of Srila Prabhupada's future followers. And in such a situation, what would be the best step for the disciple to do?
Again, it depends on what it is.
Okay.
But if it's serious, you humbly approach your spiritual master and reveal the mind, reveal your mind. Otherwise, it can lead you astray, just being alone with those thoughts. But that's the best. And if you can't do that, then approach other authorities. If you feel it's a serious issue. So yeah, again, it depends on, everyone's different.
Yeah.
Small with small things, and sometimes big things. But if the spiritual master is preaching the philosophy and not changing the philosophy, but preaching according to time and circumstance for the best way to spread Krishna consciousness, then that's good.
Mm-hmm.
So different ways and means will be adopted according to different places and times, and by different individuals. So the main thing is to ourselves become pure, and then we can have an effect in this world. Prabhupada wanted us all to become pure. He said, when devotee asked him, what pleases you most? And that devotee was a book distributor. Prabhupada's answer was, that you become Krishna conscious, that you love Krishna. So that's our main business. And everything on our side will be, perfect. We'll see everything is perfect in the sense that Krishna is directing everything. Prabhupada's last words, it's on film. He said, everything is acting, moving by the supreme desire of Krishna. This consciousness is Krishna consciousness. So it's hard to see everything is perfect. It's a hospital. This place is kind of a nut house, you can say. And Prabhupada said, who's crazy? People are walking around thinking there's something they're not. That's not sanity. So expect problems. So, the bad times are times for lessons very often, hard times. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? But I think the main thing is just not to give up. Individually, we'll probably have problems. I did, and so many have. And so we just keep going. We don't abandon ship.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for the advice, and we pray and hope that we will remember this advice and keep being on the ship, which is sailing us across the material ocean to the other shore.
Yeah.
There is one devotee here, Ras Vilas, I believe he's still here. I think just about 3 or 4 days, no, today is Tuesday, sometime last week, I think Thursday or so, he asked a very pertinent question that has been bothering some of us, and we're trying to figure out what the solution is. You showed us beautiful slides of multitudes of people coming in to hear Srila Prabhupada speak.
Yeah.
And many people, they hear Srila Prabhupada, they see Srila Prabhupada, they see the devotees, and they come close to devotees and they stay. But that is not the case in our today's experience. So we're wondering, of course, we know Srila Prabhupada is Srila Prabhupada. No one can be like him. We know that. We accept that. But what can we do to have a similar impact in our preaching, that we talk to people, we say something about Krishna to people, and they see us and they want to listen to us and want to follow us to the temple to see what we do, how we do things, and end up what can we do to at least get somewhere close to the dedication you all had for Srila Prabhupada?
I already answered that, to become pure.
And that is a very difficult thing to do, to become.
I know. But, don't give up.
Okay.
And you're having an effect on people. People hear the Maha Mantra and they just hear it and they go away. That's what happened to me. I heard the mantra, 2 years before I got that assignment. And I walked away. I could feel it had some effect, actually. Anybody who hears the mantra, Hare Krishna, the seed is planted. It may take a long time, many even lives, before it fructifies, but it's there. We should have that faith. So, people are not, it was India at that time, and Prabhupada brought his Western disciples back, and it was a big event. So everybody was very thrilled, and there's thousands of people came. It was an amazing time. But, you know, the Harinam party, I heard in Africa, I've only been to South Africa, but never on a Harinam party. But I heard that, you know, hundreds of people gather when you have a Harinam party.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
So just keep it up.
Mm.
You're having an effect.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. I was fortunate enough to have met you once in Gidanagri.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm in Harrisburg, which is very close to Gidanagri. So I met you there once, and I think I don't think it was an eclipse of the moon or something, but you came with some gadgets. We looked through. We saw the different planets.
really?
Yeah, we saw Venus, and we saw I think Rohini. It says Rohini is always close to the moon.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't remember that.
It's been about maybe 14 years ago.
Okay.
Quite a long time. But any devotee with any question, comment before Prabhu Ji leaves? Any appreciation?
Yes, Prabhu, I have a question, please.
Okay, please.
Yeah.
My question is, I saw so many young devotees. Those days you were following Prabhupada. What was your parent reaction? You left schools, you left your jobs.
All the parents?
Yes, your parents. Yes, what were they saying?
All kinds of reactions, from being horrified and hiring kidnappers to kidnap the devotee and try to deprogram, to favorable. My parents were favorable. My father met Prabhupada twice, actually.
Wow.
And
Okay.
he bought us equipment. He donated money, and
Wow.
you know, so it's all kinds of different reactions, and that's still going on. So that'll always be there. You know, becoming a devotee is you know, going against society, basically. Modern society, Western society, Western ideals are all over the world now, unfortunately. So
It's so interesting to have seen quite a few things I've heard and read from Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita in pictures today,
yeah.
especially where it describes how Srila Prabhupada was ridden in, I think, 2 or 4 white horses. And the descriptions of Swarup Maharaj gave in the Lilamrita is so beautiful, very descriptive. And
Right.
you showed it today. That was very good. And we've also heard Ratnath Maharaj speak about his encounter with Srila Prabhupada. And
Oh,
we saw that also today. So,
he was on your show?
Uh,
Mark?
oh no, I mean, he's been to Gidanagri several times.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes, he's shared that, and he has lots of audio tapes. Sometimes he talks about that. Yeah. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
We hope that we may have your association once again in the very near future, Prabhuji.
I hope to come to Africa. I haven't been
Hare
to,
Krishna, Hare Bo.
you know, we'll see.
Yes.
See what Krishna has in mind.
Yeah. That would be awesome.
Thanks to all of you for preaching, continuing to preach and spread Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada is very pleased.
Hare Krishna.
When we try to do that, just keep trying through all the ups and downs. Hare Krishna. Jai
Hare-
Prabhupada.
Jai. So, dear devotees, we're going to hand the request to you all to kindly unmute and we all chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra to express our appreciation to our beloved uncle, His Grace Yadubara Prabhu, for being with us and giving us Srila Prabhupada's nectar. Jai. Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Ram Ram
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Hare Hare. Vancha
Vancha
Karpataru, Vyasta,
Kalpana
Kripa, Sindhyasi, Vascha, Patitanam Pavasnam,
Bhavinevyo Vaishnavevyo.
His Grace Sri Yadubara Prabhu Ki Jai.
Jai.
Thank you so much. Hare